So you might have seen recently, in the last several months, I've been trying out some of the newer preamp pedals. So I started with the Friedman IR-D, which is their Dirty Shirley amp, basically a plexi kind of sound. And then I got the Tone King Imperial preamp, which is obviously more of a Fender style. And I've made some captures of those, and I've shared those before. And I was wanting to, create a new preset, and I thought it might make sense to try combining the captures together. And it turned out better than I really expected, especially for Strats. And I figured I'd go through today and kind of walk through some of the setups. And of course, you can download this on my Cortex Cloud account as well. So let's go ahead and dig in. Before we jump in, just a reminder, hit the like button, maybe leave a comment. Those things really help small channels like mine. If you want to help out the channel, there's a Sweetwater affiliate link in the description. And if you like this kind of content, think about subscribing. And I think the main thing here is, we'll start with the captures. I've got 3 captures for the Tone King. If you've seen my video when I created these captures, they're the same ones. So I've got one that's using an ODR Mini as a boost into the rhythm channel. So just a little bit of grip, but not much at all. Really, it's doing that bass cut. I've got one with a rhythm channel that's using an HRM. So that's a kind of a Dumble style overdrive, low gain. And then I've got one in the lead channel that's also using the ODR Mini, again, just as a slight boost, not adding much gain, but doing some bass cut. And then I grabbed a couple of the IR-D captures, one that's a lower gain one. You can see here, it's on gain level 3, so pretty low gain. And then the other one is on gain level 5, so kind of more of a nice crunchy rhythm, but very kind of martially. And then I think the key thing is, and I had initially done this on the IR-D capture preset that I created, I'm combining 2 IRs together. Both are from Amalgam from the free pack, and the link for that's in the description below. One is the Fender 2x12, and the other is the Marshall 4x12. And I'm mixing this in different levels with different scenes. So you can see here on the clean scene, I'm using more of the 2x12 and less of the Marshall. And on some of the scene changes, I'm also shifting the low pass filter as well. If we go over to, say, one of the lead ones, I'm pulling back on the Fender and using more of the Marshall, but pulling that low pass filter down so that we're taking out some of the treble, but we're getting more character of the 4x12 in the tone. So really balancing between the 2x12 cabinet and the 4x12 is, I think, part of getting some of these tones where they are. So let's start off with this kind of clean one. I'm going to turn the chorus off for now. And so the thing about this is, like I said, this capture is using an ODR Mini pedal with a little bit of grit into that rhythm channel. So it's not 100% clean, but cutting out some of that low end really kind of makes it very sparkly. So if I put it in the 4 position on the Strat, and this is without the chorus, here if you dig in, you might get a little bit of grit. But when you add in the chorus, because that tone has a little grittiness to it, the chorus kind of smooths that out and it gives it a very 80s kind of studio kind of tone. So I'm using the Chief DC2W. Obviously, it's the stereo version. I've got the mix pretty high, but not all the way up, and I'm running in mode 3. I've got the drive all the way off because I'm trying to keep it clean and sparkly. And then for this scene, I'm adding in the Jewel compressor up front. And I'm also pulling back a little bit of the gain on the capture because I wanted this to be cleaner. I didn't want as much of that grit that we're getting on the other one. And I'm adding in a little bit of mids and bass. I did that on the clean chorus as well. Because I was using the bass cut on that ODR mini pedal when I built the capture, I wanted to add back in a little bit of low end. But doing it with the capture allows you to just kind of EQ it that way rather than kind of adding in the low end from the pedal, which has a different character to it. So if we go to this one, it's just a nice kind of clean lead. So not tons of compression there, but I think it gives a nice, very round kind of lead note, good for single notes on the clean channel. And then if we go to this one, I'm using the low gain IR-D, and so I've called this glassy. It's kind of a low gain Marshall, a good amount of top end, a little bit scooped. So again, it's that nice kind of Strat Marshall low gain kind of tone. You can do that kind of thing with the in-between positions. It sounds really good. And then I've got, this is just straight ahead, the Tone King rhythm with that HR in front of it. So kind of that warm, more dumbly kind of sound. So a nice, still kind of low gain, but a much different texture to it than the IR-D has. If we go to the crunch settings, so this is just the Tone King crunch. Again, I had the ODR mini in front of it to add a little bass cut on it and a little bit extra grit. So this is that just kind of roundish Fender kind of drive. Of course, the lead channel on the Tone King Imperial preamp is more of a tweed kind of drive, so that's what this is. And then the IR-D crunch is just that kind of straight ahead Marshall. You can hear it's very plexy, a lot of top end. If you go to an in-between position. It sounds really nice. And we'll add some other flavors to these in a second. For the lead, I'm using the Tone King. All I'm doing is I'm throwing in my Archer Icon capture in front of it. Again, just to add a little bit of a mid-focused boost. If you're not familiar with the Archer Icon, it's kind of a gold clone. And I like using a lot on these presets. So this one is a very kind of roundish, kind of somewhat Eric Johnson-y kind of sound. And then I've got a lead with the IR-D, where I'm using this higher gain IR-D capture. Again, I'm using the Archer icon, and I'm also using the compressor in front of it just to smooth out the attack. So this one has a little more bite to it. And then I've got a few extra things in here that aren't on by default on any scenes. One is fuzz. So if we go back to kind of the low gain IR-D tone, we add in a fuzz face. Kind of gives a nice thick Strat fuzz kind of tone. Not adding in a lot of gain, I'm only on 4 here. If we go to the higher gain IR-D and add the fuzz to that. And then the other thing I have is I have a phaser, which is, it's kind of fun to play with, especially maybe on the higher gain lead tone. Sounds kind of cool. Or you could even add to the lower gain IR-D sound if you're just kind of doing that low gain. So these are things you can kind of sprinkle in just as you want to, just add a little extra flavor. So anyway, that's this preset. I'm really digging this, especially for Strat style guitars. I'm really liking these tones. I do think, the mix of those 2 IRs and changing the balance for the different tones, I think is really kind of the key to getting these to sound good. I liked the Tone King captures that I did, but when I put them into that dual IR setup that I was using for the IR-D captures, it really kind of brought them more to life, and I'm liking it a lot. So anyway, as always, I'll put this preset out on my Cortex Cloud account. The link for that's in the description. Feel free to grab it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.